Hey, this is Jessica, and today I'm going to be making a tag book using the supplies from the mixed media inspired October kit from Junction. So I used 3 of the size 8 tags that came in the kit, and also some of the music paper, and I'm just placing it in random places on each of the tags. Some places have a large piece of music paper, some are small, and I'm being very organic with the placement of this, ripping the edge, making it look very vintagey. And so I'm just going to use distress collage medium to adhere everything down. And I'm going to do this also on both sides of the tag. So here's the other side. You can see I have some smaller pieces, I have some larger pieces, some go off the edge. It's very mismatched. And after I have everything placed, I'm going to put it in my splat box, and I'm going to put a layer of distress resist spray. Now you want to always use some kind of box when you're using distress resist spray, because this is like an adhesive, and when it dries it will never come off. So you always want to have a box, and you always want to use some kind of baby wipe to wipe away the nozzle. Now I'm doing this on both sides of the tags, and some of them I'm using a lot, and some I'm just putting a tiny splatter, and then I'm using gold tinsel embossing powder, and I'm sprinkling it over the wet resist spray. And what this is going to do is that embossing powder is going to stick to the resist spray and create a very organic, vintagey style, because you can see it's grabbing into all the different spray patterns. And I'm going to do this on all the sides of the tags. And I'm using my piece of paper there to put away the excess. Now after I have all of the embossing powder where I want it, I'm just using my heat craft tool to melt that embossing powder on all of the tags. Now I'm taking distress ink in Blueprint Sketch and frayed burlap, and I'm putting that down onto my mixed media craft mat, rubbing it directly onto the mat, and then I'm going to take some water and I'm going to spray it. And this is going to allow that ink to really start moving and flowing on the glass surface. And then I'm going to take my tags and I'm going to rub them directly into that wet ink. And because I do have spray on here, it's going to have the tags are going to have some dimension on them, so they don't really pick up this ink super well because there's things lifting it up from the base. But I'm going to do this on both sides. Now I'm using some blank washi tape from Dina Wakley Media, and I'm putting my tags lined up on the bottom but about 1/8 of an inch apart, and then I'm going to tape them down, tape them together. I'm going to do this on both sides, and this is going to allow my tags to fold together to create a little mini book, like a brochure basically. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm putting this blank washi tape on both sides, and then I'm going to trim away the extra on the bottom and the top. And by putting it on both sides, this is preventing my book from coming apart. Now I'm using the Carabelle Dragonfly and Butterfly stamp, and I'm only putting archival ink where the text part in the center of the stamp is, and then I'm just very sporadically, no rhyme or reason, stamping this any old place on my tag book. I'm not re-inking in between stamping, so some of it's darker, some of it's lighter. And I'm going to do this on both sides of my tags book. And how much should you do? There's really no rhyme or reason to that. It's just whatever you think looks best. So I just go until I felt that there was enough pattern on there. And I'm also going to take archival ink, and I'm going to stamp down onto some mixed media paper, and also some small pieces of the music sheet paper. And I'm just using up my scraps and placing it exactly where I want. So in this case, I only really wanted the butterflies. So I'm just placing that paper right where I want it and then carefully pushing down with my fingers. So now I'm going to re-ink the stamp because I stamped out the two butterflies, and then I'm going to stamp it onto the mixed media paper. And I'm going to do this twice. Then using my small craft sheet, I'm placing down those two same colors of Distress Ink as before, Blueprint Sketch and Frayed Burlap, and I'm pushing my mixed media paper directly into that ink. Now because I used archival ink, the stamp itself won't move, and just the ink will react. So I'm just going to do several layers, and I'm making sure to dry in between so those inks layer and create a lot of depth. And then I'm taking the ink pad directly to the tag book along the edge, and this is Frayed Burlap. And now I'm using Dilution's large grid with fresh lime and a blending tool, and I'm just putting that all over the background. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And I'm avoiding the embossing powder. So I'm putting this in places where the embossing powder is not, because I don't want to cover up that gold. But I am putting it on the washi tape. I am putting it, over the music paper. And not every square is a perfect square. And now I'm using a Posca paint pen in yellow to create some X's, and this is like a faux cross stitch. So I'm doing that on both sides. And then I'm taking some Dilution's paint in bubblegum pink and watering it down with my brush. And then I'm going to splatter that on both sides of the tag book. And I'm making sure I get a little bit on each of the tags. So there's 3 tags and 2 sides, so all 6 sides have a little bit of everything. And then using a white Posca paint pen, I'm going to draw some flowers. And I'm also going to do this on each of the tag sides. And after I drew all my flowers, I pulled out the yellow Posca paint pen again, and I just added a little yellow center to each of my hand-drawn flowers. And then I'm using a Jelly Roll pen in black, and I'm doodling a different type of flower. And I'm going to do that on all the sides as well. Now I took time to cut out each of those insects individually, so the dragonflies and the butterflies that we made earlier. And I didn't make you watch that, but that's what I did. I just took my scissors and I cut them all out, so you can see it has a very organic coloring system since it was just Distress Ink. And then also those are the butterflies that were stamped on the music note sheets. So I'm using Dilution's Diary glue stick to adhere all this down. I really love this glue stick because it actually works, unlike a lot of others where after some time it lifts or starts to peel, where this glue stick I've used it for forever, 5 years now, and I've never had a problem with it. So really works. It's also really good for kids' crafts too. Now I'm grabbing some stickers from the Tim Holtz Ideology Small Talk sticker book. And I'm just going to put a bunch of quotes on each of the tag sides. Now, there's really no rhyme or reason to what I picked here for my quotes. I just grabbed ones that kind of spoke to me. You could use whichever ones you want. I was just picking ones that I felt were nature inspired or things that I'm trying to live out in my own life. So the ones I picked for this side are live simply, give generously, be open to whatever comes next, and be fearless and do what you love. And now I'm taking my Stabilo wall pencil and I'm outlining each of these sticker letters and then taking a wet brush and activating that Stabilo pencil because it is water reactive, and then I'm smudging it out. Some places I'm leaving very little water so it's very dark, and the next place I'm putting a lot of water so it tapers out into a very soft gray. And I'm also creating some drips by putting extra water and then hitting my tag book on my craft sheet so that it causes that to drip out along the bottom especially. So I'm going to do this to each of my quote words here. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm trying to create a place that you want to look at. So in this case, it's drawing your eye to those words, and also it's helping those words to become part of the page instead of just looking like it's a sticker that I plopped on top of this piece of art. So there's two reasons for doing this. And the third reason is I just like it. I think it looks cool. So you can see, especially in the center where that is starting to drip, because I put extra water there. And then I had some extra papers laying around, so I cut out some hearts. And this is the paper that was left over from when I stamped those butterflies and dragonflies, so I just cut some hearts out of that extra paper instead of throwing it away. Now I'm working on the opposite side of the tag book, and I'm using up the rest of those dragonflies and butterflies that we cut out. And I like to lay out everything first to make sure that I like the placement. And I'm treating each page as its own, or each tag as its own page, but also looking at it, what it would look like together. So that's why I have it laid out flat here. And sometimes I'm overlapping my flower drawings, and sometimes I'm staying away from them. Like it would be if you were in nature. Sometimes butterflies are sitting on the flower, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're flying over the top of it. So I'm doing different things on each tag side so that it doesn't just look like I made the same thing over and over. So my first step is to place down all of my insects, and then I'm going to go with my Tim Holtz Ideology Small Talk stickers again and place down the quotes for this side. And when I'm putting these stickers down over areas that have a little bit of dimension, like the resist spray or the embossing putter, I am putting a little bit of the Dilutions glue stick on it as well, just to make sure that that sticker doesn't want to peel up. And I'm putting down a couple more of those hearts that I cut out, and then gluing down the last butterfly. I thought I had glued down all the butterflies, but I think I got to thinking about what words I was going to use and forgot that I missed one. So I went back into that, and now I'm adding another heart. And this will be the final heart here. And now I'm back to my sticker words, my sticker quotes. So the ones I picked for this side are choose to shine, everything has beauty, and make it happen. Now taking my trusty Stabilo wall pencil, I'm outlining the sticker words, quotes, and I'm also outlining the hearts, because I felt that the hearts were kind of starting to fade into the background because they were similar to the background, so I wanted to put some black shadowing around them so they looked like they were above the background instead of being part of it. now just using a wet brush, I'm once again going around and activating that Stabilo wall, causing drips in some areas, leaving it really dark in others. So now I'm going to take the Distress Inks in Blueprint Sketch and Frayed Burlap again, and I'm going to spray those with some water on my craft sheet. And now these are some scraps of canvas that I actually ripped out of one of my Dina Wakley journals. And so I'm just pushing those down into the ink. It's going to pick up in some areas, it's not in others. I'm just smushing it around in there, whatever happens, happens. I want this to be a very organic, grungy project. So after those are dry, I'm just going to pull them through the top of the tag and tie them in a basic knot. Just adjusting it until I like how it looks. So when I was done with this part, I was looking at it and I decided that the center canvas bow, I guess we could call it, was a little too big. So I just trimmed it with my scissors, and then I'm pulling some of the threads out and making it look old and not like a perfectly cut piece of canvas. So I'm being pretty aggressive with this, actually. Pulling and stretching. And with that, my project is done. Now here's some close-ups. As you can see, that Stabilo all around the sticker quotes, and the hand-drawn flowers, and the cutout butterflies. If you'd like to learn more about our mixed media inspired subscription kit, please check out the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our future videos.